here as we're meeting in the Development Services Center conference room in the Metro office building in order to accommodate early voting over at the Sunny West Conference Center. This is a smaller space, therefore we're keeping a small number of people in the room. We'll call in the cases on a one-by-one basis so that not too many people get in the room at any given time. Given the fact that we only expect to have 4 board members present today and a limited number of staff members present, shouldn't be any problem, but we just want to make it clear we're only bringing in 1 case at a time after we go through the consent agenda in just a few minutes. With that, I'll hand it over to Lisa Minton, who will handle the remainder of our announcements.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Minton, and I will be presenting the cases to the board for the review in today's public hearing. For these public hearings, the board reviews the correspondence submitted in support of and opposition to these cases. The board also reviews correspondence and recommendations from other government agencies in preparation for the hearings. In today's hearings, staff will present the site plans, maps, photographs, and other documents that comprise the case record. At the conclusion of the staff's presentation, the appellant will present his or her case to the board. After the appellant's presentation, if anyone is here wishing to speak in support of the appeal, they may do so. If any opposition is present, the board will then hear from those parties. After the opposition presents its testimony, the appellant will have a period for rebuttal. According to the BZA rules, the appellant has 5 minutes for presentation if no opposition is present. In contested cases, the BZA rules allow for 10 minutes for each side to present their testimony. Should the appellant wish to provide rebuttal testimony, the appellant should reserve some portion of the allotted 10 minutes. At the conclusion of each hearing, the board will deliberate and then vote on that case. The board is vested with the power to act on these cases under the provisions of Metro Zoning Code, Section 1740-180. All section numbers that we refer to come from the Metro Zoning Code, which applies to the entire jurisdiction of the metropolitan government. The zoning code was adopted by the Metro Council and became effective on January 1st, 1998. I will introduce the entire zoning code and make it part of today's record. The Metro Code requires a record of these proceedings. Because the BZA meetings are recorded for Metro Nashville Network, it is imperative that anyone addressing the board come forward to the podium and speak into the microphone. All speakers should identify themselves by name and address and then make their desired presentations. The Metro Code requires 4 members of our 7-member board to establish quorum. The code also requires at least 4 affirmative votes to grant an appeal. In the event that 5 or more members are present, but the appeal fails to receive the 4 affirmative votes, the case will remain on the board's agenda for the next 30 days. Applications that fail to receive 4 affirmative votes within 30 days of the public hearing shall be deemed denied by operation of law. Pursuant to board rules, an aggrieved party may appeal board decisions to Chancery or Circuit Court within 60 days of the entry of the BZA order. Additionally, as per the BZA rules, an aggrieved party may file a motion for rehearing by the BZA within 60 days of the original hearing date. After that time elapses, the board's decision becomes final and no further action can be taken. If your appeal is granted, you're required to obtain the permit for which you applied. A permit must be obtained within 2 years for the board approval to remain valid. It should also be noted that if false or misleading testimony is presented to the board, any board approval could be revoked at a later date by means of a show cause hearing before the BZA. Mr. Chairman, I submit that all cases have been filed in proper order, all appellants have been notified by certified mail, and all legal notice requirements have been fulfilled.
Great, thank you.
There are a few preliminary announcements concerning deferrals and withdrawals. Case 2020-018 has been deferred indefinitely and will require renoticing of the case with a new mailing once it is placed back on the docket. Case 2020-207 has been deferred to the 11/5 meeting, and case 2020-196 has been withdrawn. For members of the public, our board utilizes a consent agenda at each of its meetings. One board member reviews the record for each case prior to the hearing and identifies those cases which meet the criteria for the requested action by the appellant. If the reviewing board member determines that testimony in the case would not alter the material facts in any substantial way, then the case is recommended to the board for approval. We'll enter into the record those cases that have been so recommended, and if anyone is here in opposition to one of those cases identified for the consent agenda, we will remove the case from the consent agenda and hear it in its regular order. Mr. Chairman, these cases are the cases that have been recommended for the consent agenda today. Case 2020-194, located at 646 Revels Drive. Is there anyone here in opposition to case 2020-194?
And then,
Mr. Michael, is there anyone here in opposition to case 2020-194? Additional cases, case 2020-198, located at 2814 Gallatin Pike. There's no one here in opposition to that case. It's been confirmed for case 2020-198.
we can go ahead, let's go ahead and read all the cases.
Okay.
And while Mr. Michael, it just for the public, that everybody's out in the hall or outside, so we're going to make sure that there is no opposition, which we have checked once.
We're verifying.
We will verifying again, and so let's just read all the cases,
Okay.
and when he comes back, if there's no opposition to any of those cases, then we'll proceed with the consent agenda.
So case 2020-194, we are confirming. Case 2020-198. Case 2020-206, located at 6012 Clarksville Pike. And case 2020-208, located at 4316 and 4316B Summercrest Boulevard. We're confirming that there's no opposition present for these 4 cases on the consent agenda. Okay. There is no opposition present.
Okay, since there's no opposition present, there's a motion for the consent agenda. Is there a second? Second. Motion, and there's a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye, raise your hand. Any opposed? That motion passes 4-0.
Members of the public, if your case was just approved on the consent agenda, please give our staff until Monday to process the documentation associated with your appeal, at which point you may come in to pursue those permits for which you have applied. Mr. Chairman, I believe we do not have any council members present. Is that? Okay. Okay, we'll proceed on with the cases then. The first case up for review is case 2020-184, located at 705 Harpeth Knoll Court. This appellant also has the next case, case 2020-185, located at 709 Harpeth Knoll. I believe we will review these together and then vote separately after they've been reviewed.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. 2020-184, here's the parcel viewer map. Here's an aerial view of the property. Here's the proposed site plan for the new residence. Here's the proposed site in relation to the contextual setbacks. Street view of the property. At 705 Harpeth Knoll, they have a contextual 41.3 foot required front setback, and they're requesting a 30-foot front setback. The next property, 185, which is on the adjacent parcel, is also a vacant parcel that he's developing. It's parcel viewer, aerial, proposed site. This property has a 49.8 foot contextual setback, and they're requesting a 40-foot setback. The appellant would like to introduce himself by name and address. You have documents you'd like to share with the... Hold on 1 minute. Jessica will be glad to give those to you. I will pull up this further review. If you'd go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we can pass those out for you while you're speaking of your case.
All right, sir, if you would just turn your microphone on with the lower right-hand button and make sure it turns green. There you go. And while you're here.
Do I need to keep this on? Okay. My name is Amir Roshan. I'm here for 2 cases, 2020-184 and 2020-185. I want to thank you for the ample amount of time you have put in these cases. And I understand now how this process works, and it's a consultation, an exchange of questions and concerns, and I'm certain at the end we will come up with something that is fair for everyone involved. I have handed, these are I've handed this to you from the GIS Metro map. So these are come directly from there. If you hold it like this, you can see my lots right here, 709 and 705. So if you see those orange lines are where the property drops. And if you look at the building envelopes of my neighbors, they all kind of avoided it as much as they could not to go into those sharp drops, which is 10 feet each, you go 10, then you go 5, then you go 10. So it drops from 590 all the way down. If you look at the next page that has my site plan, my building envelope right now at the 30 setbacks is showing that somewhere around 620 it starts, and then all of a sudden it just keeps dropping 10 feet and 10 feet. So if I go to, with the way that is set, the setback is set right now for the average, I would be, my building envelopes, it starts 10 feet from the ditch. So if I have a building envelope of, let's say, I don't know, 30 by 30, what happens, 20 feet of it goes directly in that ditch, which we went back and forth. It really, I don't even know where we can do the foundation unless we do some sort of a Gatlinburg style of home on lumbers and, a different type of home. Anyway, so when I look at this map, I drove into this area. I saw that these homes, they're really not lining up, but mostly they are. But then there is some homes that they have gone way back. Like my neighbors, the 713 and 717, for one reason or another, they had the lot to go back 77 foot and 66 foot. But everybody else that I looked at, they average about 35, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then the last page is, I have it marked with 2 stars on the first page. Those are the 2 homes just right around the corner from me. We went and measured that other house, the Metro map also shows, is somewhere about 20 feet in front of this other neighbor's house. So for some reason, I don't know why they built it that way. I'm pretty sure they had probably some difficulty with whatever they had to do, or they were just allowed. I don't know. But right now, my faith, I think the faith of people who are going to live in these 2 homes, when I build them, is in the hands of 2 neighbors that they had the land and they just chose to build 77 foot from the street and 66 foot. So for me...
1 minute remaining.
Okay.
1 minute.
So for me, it's, if I'm kept to this 49 average, 30 foot of the homes is going to be in the ditch. So I probably have to build a skinny home. Maybe I find a floor plan 15 feet deep and 30 feet the other way. Other than that, I'm hoping that I can build something reasonable, especially 705 is on the curb, it's even worse. That's why we have 10 feet difference requesting. Thank you so much.
And then when you were first here, I think the contextual setback was 55, is that right? So I think when it was re-examined, it was lowered to 41 feet for the home that's in the curve and on the dead-end part, and then 49 feet for the house. And so you're wanting 30 feet and 40 feet because of the steep drop.
Yeah.
So, all right, and so is there any questions from the board?
I have some questions.
Okay.
So on 709, your contention is that you can't go further back into that lot because of the drop, the steep slope, is that?
Yeah. If you look at the topo, it shows 10-foot drops
Right.
very rapidly. And we went and looked from the baseball field from behind, and we don't even know if this previous builder 30 years ago if used that area for field. We don't know. We haven't digged into it to really see what's in that drop. So we'll find out when we remove trees, and that's why I'm trying my best to avoid getting into that ditch, as much as possible, because then I'm dealing with the floodplain. And if you look at my neighbor.
Well, but is it a ditch or is it, I mean, you still got, I understand that the topography, it drops off steeply, but the issue isn't that you're building it, you'd have to build into a ditch. The issue is that it's just, you've got really steep topography to the ditch, right? I mean, you're not contending that you can't move the house back because there is a ditch right there, right? You're contending it's because of the slope.
Exactly, yeah.
All right.
I guess you can build on anything, but what I'm trying to do to really build something that is functional for somebody who's going to live in it for many years down the road, because basically they won't have a backyard. I mean, no matter how I look at it, so it's either going to be a side yard or a front yard, and then there is all kind of trees and rocks that we saw in that ditch, and I tried to take pictures, but unfortunately, by this heavy vegetation right now, the pictures showed nothing. It's basically a bunch of leaves and trees, but the topo on the city map pretty much tells the story of what we're dealing with.
Well, there's definitely some drop off. Let me ask you on 709, because you would be, the concern I have is that it's going to look very inconsistent with the neighboring property at 713. It looks like you're going to be at least 30 or 40 feet out in front of them. Have you spoken with them about what is their position on?
I've sent them the mail that was requested of me to send them. I've left them my card on their door and asking them to call me to discuss this. I've sent them the picture of homes that I'm thinking to build, so that way they can at least see what's coming next door. I haven't had anybody returning my call. The only thing I know is some people had approached the council member of the district that, I mean, some of them said they don't like to see any homes built there, and some of them said, I think the next door neighbor didn't want it to be.
So as far as you know, the owner of 713 has not objected, even though they have not responded?
Not to me. I have no, I went on their weekend, Sunday, even last week when I went to take pictures, I left a call. They
No
won't
call.
open the door, I knocked. It's a rental duplex, so I don't know if they even live there.
So my other question is this, is there, I mean, it looks like just as much of that slope is on 713 as it is on 709. It looks like actually there's probably, yeah, I mean, it looks like the
But if you see
topography
that-
in the backyards is about the same, and so,
But they avoided it. If you see, when you go to their backyard, you can see about maybe 7 feet of field. So the backyard is sitting on gravel and no grass. It's just basically they put one of those train kind of retainer wall, the lumber, and then they filled it up with gravel, and basically the air conditioning system is sitting there and a little bit of a gravel yard. There is no parking or anything. And the way the lot is, it just changes. I mean, I probably have to build the house where it angles because it cannot directly face. It just has to be, because I have on one side, gives me a little room to angle it, and the other side maybe somehow to stay in line with that, neighborhood circular look.
sure.
So we're gonna try our best to really build that.
Well,
they're gonna love it at the
I guess
end.
my concern is that this is gonna be, I don't see nearly as the same issue with 705, but with 709, it seems to me like if I were in 713, this is gonna be pretty incongruent. You're gonna be sticking way out, and yet they were able to build. It would be more compelling to me these topographical problems just presented themselves on lot 709, but they present themselves also on 713, and yet they managed to push back further. So that's my concern about it, just to be direct. If you have any,
Well, the only thing I can really say, I'm not an architect, of course, but if I put a scale on here and draw a straight line from corner to corner, you can see that my lot, because it's also on a turn, it gives me less of a flat area to build with the lot next door.
and I see that.
Yeah.
I can draw a line here, and it does give you less of an area, but it doesn't look to me like it's just a whole lot less. So anyway, thank you. I wanted to address those questions to you, so thank you for answering
Just to
them.
give you another perspective, from the street to the drop, we measured that by a tape. It's about 68 and some feet. So when we go way back from there, so the way it is right now set up, 49 plus 10 is 59. So it gives me almost 7 feet in that flat area, and the rest of the house goes down.
Okay, sir, yeah, I think we're at the questions. Let me ask if there's any other questions, and then, because I think he was satisfied. Are you good? Everybody good? Okay, was there any, Jessica, was there time left, or we?
Yes, there's like 36 minutes left.
Okay, sir, you have another 30 seconds to say whatever else you'd like to say, and then we can, if there's anything else to add it now, and otherwise we'll close the hearing. And
Thank you so much.
All right.
For everything.
Thank you. And I know you've come back several times, and appreciate you doing that. So with that, we'll close.
Can I ask one question before you close it?
Absolutely.
When you bought these lots, had you been out there and looked at them?
We did, and I have it written down on the auctioneer. He kept saying 30 feet setback from the front. And I even, in front of everybody, I said, raise my hand. I said, have you talked to the city? He said yes, and he gave me a name of someone in the planning commission, which I know how that works. You just call, they tell you average is 30 feet.
Okay.
So in a way, he disclosed what he wanted it to
Well,
disclose.
I understand it, but my question is more to you bought these at an auction,
Right,
and you were out there and you looked at them and you saw the topography of the area.
right.
And just looking at this, I mean, it wasn't a surprise that there was a big drop-off in the back of it when you acquired it. So now you're coming here today asking sort of forgiveness of a known circumstance, and that's what you're having to work through with me. It not necessarily, I mean, I can see the problem with 705.
Can I
But and we'll be discussing this in a second. Now, you did answer my question, so I'm gonna defer at this point in time and just sit back.
Okay. All right. Good, thank you. All right, we'll close the public hearing. And, you know, the one interesting thing on it to me is that the actual request was very dramatic when it was first requested. I think it went from 55 to 35, and now on both pieces of property, the request is, one is 11 feet from what codes requires, and one is 9 feet from what codes, maybe just a hair more than 9 feet from what codes requires. And so his request is a lot closer to codes than what he had originally proposed, and I think that's probably to his benefit, that, you know, going through this process, at least it got him some footage without having to have our permission. So I guess the question now is on both of these lots, you know, is there a hardship that would allow us to give him less than what code requires? If not, then we would deny the request. But if there is a hardship, then to what extent? Is it the full ask, or is it something different? Christine, did you have?
Yes, and thank you to Mr. Pepper for articulating my thoughts. I was glad that you did that, actually. But I'm saying,
This is getting scary.
no, he kept talking, and it was exactly what was in my head, so I was thankful he did the talking. But I mean, there are hardships. We see the hardships. However, I don't think the request on 709 should be granted because of the hardship it imposes upon the neighbor at 713. But I would be willing to entertain the request for 705.
What are the other thoughts?
Those are my thoughts, so same thought.
Okay.
Well, I think the majority is heading in that direction,
So,
Mr.
well, since we do take these separately,
Yeah.
and since the lot 705 is first, if there's a motion for 705, let's do that, and then we can talk specifically about the other.
Okay, I will move to approve the variance request for case 184, which is 705 Harpeth Knoll Court.
And that is
Due to
30,
the, sorry, go ahead.
that's to reduce the setback to 30 feet, and that is the
Yeah.
setback, not, that's setback from the property line, not from the street. I know we've had conversations about that, but that's a 30-foot setback from the property line.
Okay.
Okay, is that right?
And-
So that's a
Second.
motion, and
Yeah.
Tom, did
Second.
you? Okay.
Yeah. No, actually, you two talk so well together. I'll withdraw my second and allow you, Mr.
All right,
Pepper.
so we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye, raise your hand. Any opposed? That motion passes. So now let's go to case 185, which is 709 Harpeth Knoll, and that's the one that people had issue with. And, I would tend to split the baby and say, could you go 45? But I see what you're saying, but if not, then that's just where it is.
Well, I was going to move to reject the request, but, and see if
And
that
I was
gets
going
a
to second that motion, actually, so.
No, that's fine. So, well, then that is a motion, right? So, all right, so there's a motion to deny the variance, and there's a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, then all in favor of that motion, raise your hand and say aye. And then opposed is one. And so that motion doesn't pass, but it basically says that unless you get 4 votes for that variance, then at the next 2 meetings, then that variance is denied. And so since there are only 6 members and that got 3 votes, most likely it will continue to be denied without any additional information. But the variance for 184 for 705 did pass.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, the effect on that is the same.
Yeah.
So,
The next case to be heard is case 2020-191, which is located at 2201, 2209, and 2115 Elliston Place. And it is a variance request from rear setbacks, landscape buffers, and ISR requirements, and a special exception from the height control plane encroachment for a mixed-use development within the CS district. There is no opposition present, so if the applicant would like to step up to the podium and introduce yourself by name and address, please.
All right. Hi, I'm Catherine Withers. I'm a planner with Barge Design Solutions, 615 3rd Avenue South. Also with me is Nathan Narwald. He's our project architect with Southeast Venture, and also Ted Cromer is here with Giratana. You should have letters from planning staff and Metro Historic in your package supporting this request. Robin Ziegler was not able to attend today, but she sent a letter conveying her support for this project in its current version. In her words, it's a great example of marrying new contemporary construction with rehabilitation of historic properties. So the board granted a special exception for height and the rear setback at the May 21st meeting for 2201 and 2209 Elliston Place. At that time, it was requested that if any major changes happen, that the project come back. And since that time, 2 things have happened. First, the project was so well received that an additional property at 2115 Elliston Place was included. And second, that the inclusion of this property caused the design team to further analyze, sorry, let me, steam it up. We analyzed the project a bit further to understand that we were not able to meet the impervious surface ratio or the tree planting requirements of the site. We held a community meeting last week at the Elliston Place Soda Shop. We had several nearby property owners come to see the remodeled soda shop and talk to them about the rock block flats. They were glad to see this new energy that's being infused into the rock block, keeping the old with the new. The goal of this project is the same, to preserve the historic character of the storefronts along Elliston Place. In picking up the additional property at 2115 Elliston Place, the project will include a new contextual storefront that will infill a gap that currently exists as a parking lot. The requests today, the height and rear setback, are special exceptions. They are consistent with the existing built character and the character envisioned for the future in the Midtown Community Plan, as is noted by planning staff.
And the height and rear setback don't change from the original proposal?
Do you want to address that, Nathan?
Correct, as granted approval back from the spring, from May. Rear setback remains the same as we suggest. As the 20-foot requirement does not necessarily work for any form of development at the rear here, starting with the parking garage layout.
And the height's also the same, or did it?
Yes,
Okay.
the height piece is the same.
And the property that was added, what's currently at that property? Is that the soda shop, new soda shop, or is that the SMAC?
Historically, it is the original H.G. Hill grocery store building at 2115. Right now, it's a clothing store.
That's where SMAC is now, right?
Buffalo Exchange.
Okay,
And also the adjacent pay parking lot is part of that parcel as well that's been acquired. And that's where we look to place an infill new storefront, single-story building. We have sent some sketch options in the past to Robin Ziegler and gotten, most of her blessing from that in the past.
I would say enthusiastic response.
Sure. She's enthusiastically approved our concepts there and the creation of a new street edge, consistent street edge streetscape there.
So the new requests, the impervious surface ratio, CS requires a 0.9, and we're asking for 1. And tree requirements, when you see the preserving of the existing structures, adding in the parking deck to put the new residential structure above, there isn't any space left over. So we would need relief from the TDU requirements. The hardship, the property is very shallow. It's 112 feet on one side. We're going to dedicate 5 feet for the alley widening. And when we're preserving enough space to have viable retail, there's just not a lot of land left over. So in order to make this project happen, to preserve the character, these character-defining buildings, and create a project that's a good example of marrying old and the new, we need the variances and the special exceptions. So the community plan for this area envisions mixed-use development that's up to 8 stories. That's in an urban form with active building frontages, parking behind, screened from view. The zoning of CS is actually at odds with the existing character and the vision cast in the community plan policy. CS is better suited to a suburban commercial corridor at the edge of the county. During my previous life as a planner with Metro, I led the community plan update for this area in 2012 and then comprehensive rezoning in 2015. And at that time, agreement couldn't be reached on a zoning district would do everything that this project seeks to do, keeping the old and making way for the new.
1 minute remaining.
Okay, so it was left to a property-by-property analysis. So this proposal, I think, meets those goals and the community sentiment, and it has the endorsement of Metro Planning and Historic. And as we've discussed, we've enjoyed Robin's participation in this project, and we will consult with her as it moves forward. With that, we respectfully request your support, and we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Is it possible, and I'm assuming that if we approve the special exception, I think last time it had the condition that it was based on the plan as presented, and any substantive changes would have to come back to this board, and I'm assuming that that's acceptable again. And then I guess the only other question on the landscape, I understand, I thought that Stefan said there's not a buffer required, but
It's not, it's the tree density. It amounts
Right.
to about five trees.
is there no possibility of doing any kind of curb cut to plant anything in front of the space? I know it has a fairly wide sidewalk. I mean, is there a way to get anything out front as an alternative?
We can consult with Public Works to see if they'd be willing to let us put street trees in.
Okay, so as a condition to consult with Public Works in the attempt, an expectation to have street trees, that would be acceptable too. Are there any other questions?
So there's been no objection whatsoever from neighboring businesses or residents as I review the packet. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. And we sent out the community meeting notice, and I asked people to contact me by phone or email, and I had 1-2 calls, but yeah.
Is the existing condition now that there are no trees on the site, and is there any pervious surface on the site existing?
I think it's all pretty well paved.
Thanks.
Any, Tom?
My only, well, I'll wait until we go into our discussion.
Any other questions? Is there anything else to add? All right, then nothing else to add. We'll close public hearing and discussion.
I'm just a tree person, so that you sort of brought out the point that maybe we could require them to talk with Public Works or with the forester or something and find some way, if there's possibility, to get some trees.
Well, I think that, I agree that would be, the requirement we put on it before was that if it changes substantially, because to me, I get a little worried about special exceptions based on variances and that kind of thing, and have it all of a sudden be a different project. So I like it tied to the project that's presented to the neighbors and to us. And I also think that, I do think it warrants a condition to talk with, Public Works. I think the challenge is if Public Works comes and says absolutely not, then what? Would you want them to come back to us, or would you just say, hey, we really expect you to deal with Public Works, and it'll make your project look nicer, frankly, if you've got 6 trees out in front of it instead of 0. But at least have that conversation, have Public Works tell you no, rather than you not want to do it at all. I mean, it sounds like they'd like to do it if they can, if Public Works would do it.
I guess that they know it would be foolish to go in and suggest, oh, we really don't want the trees, but, I think that they're going to come back in front of us a number of times over the next couple of years, and if they get the reputation of not getting our sense of, see if you can find a way to get some trees, because I think it's the general consensus of everybody here that we like trees.
Right.
We like green spaces and things like that.
Okay.
And I think they would like it too.
Okay. Well, then how about a staff, was there any other discussion?
So on the pervious surface, I asked my fellow board members, I'm assuming that, because there is none apparently, but so that's got to pass stormwater.
Right.
So the fact that they don't have it, it doesn't, it's still got to get the approval of stormwater, so we're good on that, right? Okay, that's.
Well, I'll make a pass at this, that we approve the requested variances and special exceptions as presented under the conditions that they are dependent and contingent on the plan as proposed, including the elevation submitted, and that if that were to change in a way that is viewed to be substantively different by the zoning administrator, that would have to come back to this board. And the second condition is that the applicant work with the urban forester and with Public Works to include curb cut tree plantings on the street of the site, and that be a requirement of this project unless they get one of the government agencies to tell them that it's not acceptable.
I'll second that.
Have a motion, have a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye and raise your hand. Any opposed? That motion passes. Good luck, and thank you for saving that part of town. It's going to be really nice. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
The next case for consideration is case 2020-204, located at 1209 Norville Avenue. They're requesting a variance from the height restrictions for a second-story addition to an existing detached garage. It exceeds the one-story within 16-foot height requirement per the code. They're requesting a 20-foot overall height. Here's the parcel, an aerial. Here's the site plan. There's a street view. I believe there's an elevation. I'm apologizing, it's not in the slides. In your packet, I can tell you which page of your packet it's on. There is a sketch of the elevation for this property also. There's no one here in opposition to this case, so the appellant can introduce yourself by name and address and state your case.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jolene Morgan. My address is 1209 Norville Avenue, Nashville 37216. I'm looking to go higher than 16 feet with my garage. My garage is set back from the street behind my house. There's no alley behind my house. Right now, I think it's a 12, maybe less than 12-foot ceiling. I don't even have 8 foot of height inside the garage as it is, but I'm looking to go up higher than the 16-foot that is allotted, and that is not my property.
That's not your home right
That
there?
is not my home. That is. It's okay. I mean, oh,
Let me
All
reintroduce
right,
the
so,
slides.
yeah,
My
so-
apologies, the other
Yeah,
case
so
was
ma'am,
on
if you
consent.
would, yeah, hang on one second, and let's let Lisa reintroduce this
Let me
case with
reintroduce the case. I
Okay.
introduced the wrong case number. I'm sorry. I did the correct case number 2020-204, 1209 Norville.
That's okay.
My apologies.
No worries.
There's the aerial parcel view, aerial view. There's the elevation we were looking for.
Right, so that's what I'm hoping to do, although.
Yeah, and hang on one
Let me
second.
finish introducing the
Hang on one
slide.
second, let her
Okay.
finish.
Is this the front elevation of your home?
Yes.
Okay, and across the street. So then we will go back. This is the elevation I think that we were seeking.
Is there a building there presently?
There is. There's a 24 by 24 garage, two-car garage, with a height, I think, just less than 12 feet at the peak.
So you're wanting to completely tear that down and build something new?
I'm actually just wanting to add on top of it.
Okay, so tell us what you want to do.
So I'm wanting to take off the roof, essentially, go up to about ideally 20 feet and add in a loft in there. It's going to remain a garage on the one side, and on the other side, a shop for me. But I don't have a lot of storage, and so I'm trying to figure out a way to get more storage on my property. So I want to go up higher than the 16 feet because that doesn't allow me to stand in that loft space, and I'm an artist, and I'm trying to do artwork in that space. So I'm asking if I can go up any higher than the 16. It is set back. It's not in anybody's way. There's no alley.
So is it not functional as working space if it's 4 feet shorter?
Not for me, no.
And so if it's,
Because if I put in a second level in there, I can't afford to do a whole level like on top with stairs to the outside, and that's just not in my budget. But to put a loft in there that I can stand up in, 8 or 16 feet isn't quite enough, so.
is your interior floor to ceiling space is at 9.6, is that what I'm seeing there?
Yes, that's the
That's-
loft.
That's if
the
you're
loft.
standing on the floor.
That's the
how-
loft space,
Right, that's what you're, okay.
yeah. But honestly, I mean, I would take anything over 16.
mean,
Just to
and
give
that's
me
a-
a little bit more headspace. I'll take 18 if that's all I can get, you know?
Well, I mean, if you took 4 feet off of 9'6", you'd be, what, 5'6", so you'd probably definitely be crouching.
Yeah. And I do large scale art, so I need places to like store it, and that's not in the downstairs level of it, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have a couple questions about the drawings that are in our packet, which are, I don't know if they're appearing up here. Okay, there's a drawing, a hand sketch that shows a proposed addition of, looks like 8 by 14 feet. Is that still a request?
Yes, so that's on the back half, and it's basically only half. So the dotted line, the vertical dotted line, is where that will be divided down, and the addition is on that back side of the bigger half of the right side.
So there's an addition and you're wanting to raise the roof?
Yeah, but the addition still falls within the setback regulations, so.
Okay, and there's another drawing that shows, it looks like a bathroom with a shower.
The shower is just, it's not necessary, but I just put it in there, so it's just a
I have a feeling
bathroom.
it's not allowed, but we can get a,
I think with a I was told with certain a restrictive covenant that I can do it, I don't know.
With a
this is,
recorded covenant, if it can't, it is allowed.
okay,
it
even though
cannot be
this is
used for-
RS zoning,
It cannot be used for a living space.
but a
And the-
shower's allowed.
The covenant, the covenant is required to allow the construction for it to be used.
And I've sent that in too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, but there's no stove, I mean, it's not gonna be living, so there's no stove.
Any other questions for the board? There anything else that you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Then we will close the public hearing and discuss. I mean, yeah, I agree, Christine, when I saw it, my first impression was, oh, you're putting in a bathroom, you really want a living space. And I think that the explanation of being a visual artist and large-scale visual artist needing canvas space, to me, resonates. I understand that, and I think that the restrictive covenant, there may be folks in town that violate those, but it's there and it's not, and I'm not suggesting by any stretch that this applicant would do that, but the covenant is there, and it would be illegal to use it as a living space based on that. So, I guess the question is, if the applicant said it would take anything 18 and above, and are we comfortable with any? Are we comfortable with the ask of 20? Are we comfortable with something in between?
So looking for the hardship, the only hardship I can see is that you have an existing structure that you're basically having to work with. That's what I understand is going on here.
In order to make it.
Yeah, and we have recognized that before as special and unique circumstance. I mean, I don't, at 9'6", it just seems to me like you don't have a whole lot to work with there. I mean, that's not a I don't know what the average height of a residential ceiling is, but I would think it would be somewhere at, at least 9 feet. I don't know, but I don't know that, I guess what I'm saying is I don't know that there's a lot of room to work with here. I mean, it seems to me like it's 4 feet over is the ask essentially. So the question for me is what is the hardship? And I think that, you do have an applicant who's working with an existing building, and I think that, I want to hear from other board members. I think in the past, we have recognized those kind of situations as creating them.
So if you can see a hardship, then, and the rest of us agree, and I'm inclined to be amenable to finding a hardship, the question is, should the height allowed go from 16 to 18 or 16 to 20? And that's what I'm.
Well, and that's what I was saying, is I don't think there's a lot of room to work with, is what I'm saying, Mr.
So
Chairman.
you're comfortable with the full ask?
I think if
Okay.
there's a hardship, I'm comfortable with the full ask, and I think we have recognized these kind of situations as hardship, and I think I'm willing to hear from other board members, but I don't think, if there's a hardship, I'm fine with what she's asking for. If the applicant had come in here and been asking for a 14-foot ceiling or something, then I think, but 9.6 seems to be pretty reasonable to me. But we have an architect that can fill us in more.
Deferred very
We
quickly.
always defer to her for that.
Always.
Are you the architect?
Yeah, and Matt, and Christine, would you?
Yeah, I don't think it's a big ask. I understand the need to have especially with working from home, the need to have a separate space for your work. I could use that myself. And I do see other garages that have space above them throughout Nashville, as long as it's not used for a living space, and we went through that. So I think it's an acceptable ask.
All right, is there any other discussion or a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the ask, that the hardship is that you can't do anything else with it. She's not going to shrink. With all due respect.
I am pretty
I'm not
short,
saying that, no, I'm not saying that your height challenge, please understand. And it's in the back of the structure, so it's not going to be anything that's going to cause the neighbors to get upset. And there's no other way to do it. I mean, it's a physical impossibility, and I think we would create a frustration of purpose that probably is the betterment of the entire
So
neighborhood.
that's a motion. Would you accept the condition that it not be used as living space, even though that's,
Absolutely.
okay?
I'll second that.
Have a motion, have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye and raise your hand. Any opposed? That motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you. Have a good one, you guys.
Mr. Chairman, if we could take a 2-minute break before the next case?
Next case is case 2020-209, located at 624 West Due West Avenue. And they're requesting a variance from the required maximum 75% lineal street frontage commercial use for street-level parking decks. There is a required 60-foot linear frontage requirement, and they're requesting a 47-foot frontage, I believe, for the commercial.
Yeah, it's
use.
actually, it's simply, there's a 75% of the street frontage has to be,
I'll go ahead and finish introducing the case.
I'm sorry.
I'll go through introducing the case. I'll
Okay,
show the
I'm sorry.
slides, and
Sure.
then you'll have your turn to speak. So here's the parcel viewer map of the lot. It's proximity to due west. There's the aerial. Here's their proposed footprint for their design. Street views. And additional street views. And again, there's no one here in opposition, so applicant, if you'll state your name and address, and then present your
Okay.
case.
I'm Robert Swinney with Klein Swinney Associates Architects at 22 Middleton Street, Nashville. Go ahead. Okay. We are asking for a reduction to the 75% of lineal street frontage required by zoning ordinance table 17.12.020D, note 3D. Our street frontage is 80 feet 8 inches, and by the time we take off 5 feet on each side for our building setbacks, and then we have an entry drive of around 24 feet. That only leaves us, we can get a total of 53% of frontage that is either retail or the stairway up to our apartments, or condominiums, I'm sorry. And if we include the 4 feet of sidewalk that's in front of the retail, we can get 58%. So there's just really no way to get 75% retail or office on that frontage. So that's where we're asking for that reduction.
13-foot reduction total, is that right?
I guess that would be
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And I've got, Lisa, I've got a question for codes. On a lot of, I remember seeing these types of frontage requirements, but I don't remember one where you had the setback included. It seemed like a lot of those were with the 0 or the build to, basically, it seems like they're already at a disadvantage on that 75% if you have side setbacks you have to meet too. So is this unusual, or am I thinking something? Not to ask you to interpret what I'm thinking, but
This is specifically based on this use of a street-level parking deck for this zoning. So it's not common. It's not.
All right, thank you. Were there any other questions at this point? I'm sorry, sir, you can continue.
No, I mean, that's basically the story. Any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
And you are providing, it looks like, fairly substantial retail space.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see, but there's roughly 2,200 square feet on the bottom of that parking area there to the right. So it's long and skinny, but it's about 22 feet, 6 inches wide, and I suppose whatever, 80 or 90 feet long. So they will put some office or cleaners or something down there.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, and nothing else to add? All right, we'll close the public hearing and discuss. You're sorry Logan's not here. You're the only architect that can be called on these.
Well, I've run into this, in fact, on a project working on now where this, the 75% lineal street frontage is required, and it is really hard to get, they need access to get into the parking area, and the site is tight, and there's
Right.
really no other way to park the site. So I think due to the nature of the width of the very narrow site, I think that's the hardship, and it's an acceptable ask.
Okay.
So I could make that a motion.
Sure.
To approve I guess it's a variance request based on the narrowness of the site.
Correct.
All right, there's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion, I have a second. Is there any discussion or any other thoughts? We'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye and raise your hand. If you're opposed to the motion, more discussion.
My only concern was whether or not it was self-imposed. I'll go ahead and vote in favor of it.
Okay. So that, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye. That's for. Any opposed? None. That motion passes. And good luck.
Thank you, folks. I appreciate it.
All right, next case.
The next case is case 2020-210, located at 67 Cannon Street. They're requesting a variance from the 6,000 square foot minimum lot area requirement to construct 2 single-family residences. They have 5,484 square feet. Here's a parcel viewer of the property. An aerial. There's a site plan. Views up and across the street, the property in question, and down the other street.
So will you go, yeah, leave it on, that is it, you said it was across the street?
I believe that this HPR property is across the street, and I believe the upper corner photo, the applicant can confirm is their parcel.
Yeah, ma'am, y'all aren't up yet. Hang on, give
I'm
me a second.
introducing,
Hang on. I'll call on you in a second. All right, so Lisa, You said, what now?
I believe the photo in the upper corner is the subject property, and then the lower one is looking visually across the street.
Okay.
We'll confirm that with the applicant when
Okay,
they're
so
on
we'll all right.
the.
So now, ma'am, it's your turn, and so if you would state your name and address, and then tell us why you're here.
Okay, I sure will. I just have to hand out some attachments. Oh, okay. I thought 8 was needed, so, okay, 4, 5. And if these photos could also just be passed around throughout the neighborhood in here. Oh, okay. Also, these are letters of support, 55 letters of support.
We already have those, right?
You only have some of them. You don't have all of them. These are these are all originals.
I just need what we don't have.
Okay, those are originals of what we don't have. So, that's okay.
All right, if you would, yes, state your name and address, and tell us what you're trying to do.
Okay, great. So my name is Claire Moreau. I own the property at 67 Cannon Street, Nashville, Tennessee 37210. And I am here requesting a variance from the minimum lot size required to build 2 HBR single-family dwellings on my lot. I'm 8.57% short of the 6,000 mark. And I appreciate coming before you today. This property that's here is actually 3 doors down from mine.
Is the picture in the upper corner of your property?
No. No, it's not.
My apologies, but the photos did not include your property. Here's the outline of your parcel view.
That's right.
Look at it from the overhead.
Yes, I did put a couple of photos in there.
They're not in our presentation.
They're being passed around.
Oh, okay. Okay, no worries. So basically, I've sent around to you there a survey and site plan. My lot was created in 1949, long before our current zoning restrictions. Please also consider that per current building codes, I would be allowed to build a 3-story, 8,228 square foot home on my parcel, though I am only proposing to build 2 2-story homes with an attached garage, which comes to a total of 4,862 square feet total. Apart from my request to build 2 homes on my lot, I am asking for no other building code exceptions for this development. So I require no setback reductions, no increased lot coverage, no height increases or parking reductions, etc., and no sidewalks will be taken away from this development. There are 13 single-family HBR lots in the small Napier neighborhood, 8 of which have been recently built or are soon to be built, and 2 of those are on undersized lots. The picture that you saw was the 4 HBRs that are currently being built just 3 doors down from my property at 63 and 61 Cannon Street, Nashville. So HBRs are definitely not rare in my neighborhood. In fact, for many blocks around, sorry, I'm a bit nervous today. So for the nicest property basically near mine is on 72 Murray Street, which is on an undersized lot, and it's a HPR. That's on a 5,600 and 26 square foot lot. And I showed a picture of that in the photos. This neighborhood is unique in that it's extremely run down and underdeveloped compared to the surrounding area. So frankly, any new build would be a vast improvement in comparison to the average existing home in the neighborhood. The 2 new homes I am requesting to build would also be a great improvement to the existing gutted home, which is currently on my lot, which has also become a haven for squatters, making the neighborhood unsafe. And I sent around some pictures of rundown properties in the state of the neighborhood. My lot is unusually narrow, being just 33 feet wide, which is untypically narrow for the area, and R6 lots in the greater neighborhood.
1 minute remaining.
Okay. Though my lot being 166 feet long is more than enough to build 2 homes on it, the neighborhood has the unusual hardship of having a great amount of split and oddly shaped lots of all shapes and sizes, and there are many lots, half or less than half of the square footage of mine that have houses on them, and some of those are over property lines. Basically, there's a variety of housing on lots, equally narrow lots, and higher density also. And this is one of the few neighborhoods left in Nashville that actually needs redevelopment and reinvestment. And I really hope very much for your support today. I have an overwhelming amount of support from my neighbors and no opposition whatsoever. And I plan to hold on to these 2 properties and use them for affordable housing. I thank you very, very much for your consideration today.
Okay. Are there questions from the board? Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. We'll close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, if
Yeah.
I may approach
Yes, sir.
the lectern.
Yeah, ma'am, if you just take a step away and let the,
Of course. Sure.
Nothing with the substance of the case. However, we did receive communication in our office from the district council member from District 19, Mr. O'Connell, who had requested a deferral of the case in order to work with planning for a slightly more comprehensive review of the lots in the area with regard to that R6 zoning. His idea was that more information could only be valuable to the analysis of the case. Obviously, that's independent of anything from the department, but the council member had asked us to pass that on to the board as it reviewed today. We only wanted to do that after the presentation of the case, however, so the appellant would have the opportunity to demonstrate the case.
okay, and then did the council member say how much time the council member?
Did not specify, but typically the 1 meeting, which would take us out to November 5, would probably be an adequate amount of time for them to gather some of the information involved.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've been on this board a long, long time, and typically when we get information from a council member that asks for a deferral, I can't recall a case where we haven't at least given a meeting deferral. But again, that's up to the board. The board would have to vote on that.
Would it be proper for me to make a motion to defer at least 1 meeting to accommodate the council member?
Well, I tend to believe that, if the council member asks and they're not, present, that we give them 1 meeting, and unless there's unless they can bring substantive reason to make that longer, I think it's fair to the council member, but I also want to be fair to the applicant who,
Is there a hardship to the applicant? I guess we could ask the applicant, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, so, again, it's, ma'am, would you be amenable to a 1 meeting deferral to the first meeting in November? Your case would be heard as high up on the agenda as it could. If there are others that have been deferred that have a lower number than yours, they would be heard first, but yours, yours would be heard before the new cases on that meeting date, in order for you to work with the council member and and have him the opportunity to present with whatever he wants to us.
I've been writing to Freddie O'Connell for 2 months.
Okay,
I've written him six emails. I feel that he's had ample time to get back to me. I'm having serious financial hardship at the moment, and, you know, I've lost $40,000 trying to improve the structure on my lot. So I'm really hoping to move forward with this one way or another.
Okay.
Hoping I don't have to sell, hoping to help myself in the community.
Right.
I've given him a lot of time. You know, he only just got back to me yesterday to say he was looking into this.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I mean, and I definitely appreciate it, but I still want to hear, I mean, it's not, I don't like hearing folks say, hey, I tried, and couldn't get somebody to respond, and I can't speak for the councilman to know, you know, what the communication was, but just based on how we've always operated, I'm inclined to just say, I'll give him one meeting to provide us with some additional information and then see where we are. But I don't know what your thoughts are. Anybody?
Well, you have a lot of experience on this board, and I think that's probably a good, I defer to you on it. I do think in the future that, you know, if particularly when an applicant has tried to contact a council person, if there hasn't been some kind of miscommunication, then it would have been better for everybody to have dealt with this all today. But I think that I tend to agree with you that we defer it.
Well, Tom, what do you think?
I want to give deference to the council member, but I also understand the council member's constituent who's attempted on numerous occasions, but then I've had the wrong email a few times too and could have kicked it to the wrong person. So I'm going to renew my motion to defer it one meeting and make sure we can put it as high up on the agenda as permitted, Jessica.
Okay.
Next, for our first one in November.
Okay. Have a motion. Is there a second? Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of one meeting deferral, raise your hand, say aye. Any opposed? None. All right, so we will hear that November 5th, and it'll be at the top of the docket. And we will hear that kind of regardless of what we hear back. We'll give that opportunity. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Not if you've submitted them to the board.
Oh, okay. Okay, because they would just,
Send you a copy of them at some point.
they would like all the original.
Mr. Lawless, I would imagine, I'm willing to give a little deference
So
here.
that-
so.
but they say, right?
Last case.
The next case is case 2020-211, which includes 3 parcels located at 012th Avenue North, 1810 12th Avenue North, and a second parcel at 012th Avenue North. They're requesting a variance from the 6,000 square foot minimum lot size requirement for all 3 parcels to construct 2 single-family residences on each parcel. Per survey, each parcel has 5,749 feet. There's an aerial parcel, excuse me. It's the aerial view. Here's the site plan provided. I believe they have 4 parcels in total. One has enough lot area, the other 3 do not. So they're here on behalf of the other 3 parcels. And there's a street view of the aerial. Again, no one is here in opposition, so the applicant will please introduce yourself by name and address and state your case.
Okay. How is everybody today? Ready to get out of here?
Good.
My name is Matthew Bolton with Team 06. I am here today on behalf of JDM Development. And I'll apologize in advance if nobody has it. We actually submitted a separate site plan that looked like this. that
Yeah,
had
it's in our packet.
You have that?
Yeah, we have that on our screen.
Okay,
Available
just-
to us right now.
Just wanted to make sure. Good deal. So as she laid out, and it's pretty much the gist of it, the owner of the property here believes that the hardship that they have is the situation where their lots are marginally undersized. And so where these lots, they require 6,000 square feet, they're all three of these lots are at 5,749. It's less than 5% undersized that they are. So they're simply asking for a variance from minimum lot size requirements so that they can utilize the R6 zoning that they have there now.
You know, I guess one of the things when I was looking at this one is, and my rule of thumb on lot sizes, and everybody may have their own, but you have to establish a hardship. And the only hardship that you've said is it's close, right? And so, for me to determine, and again, everybody on this board may have a different take on it, but for me to determine if it's a hardship, if it's close, if closeness is in fact a hardship, is how does it relate to all the other lots around it? And I can't find, when I looked at the parcel viewer and looked at kind of the neighborhood, I didn't see that these lots were shaped any differently than the ones around it. It seems like everybody's close. And so, if you were the only pie-shaped lot on the street and everybody else was bigger and you were off because of the pie, or one end was narrower than the other, and that was different than everybody else and everybody else qualified, then to me that's where I understand a hardship to take place. But when all the lots in the neighborhood basically have the same deficiency, to me that speaks to a different type of solution. And I know the council member has weighed in to say he was opposed to it, and so I'd much rather, if I were going to vote to, in my opinion, fairly dramatically change the neighborhood, I'd want to see something that said these 4 lots are unique to all the other lots around it. They all can do 2-family. I can't, and it's just these 4, or it's just this street, and all the 5 streets around it are able to, you can't do something because your lot's shaped differently, or it just happened to be on a street that they squeezed an extra, something. I don't know. There has to be something that says I'm different, and this is why. And I couldn't see that on the parcel viewer. So do you have any information that would support that now, or is this the neighborhood, everything in the neighborhood is kind of 57-49?
I think, like you said, most of the neighborhood probably is somewhat in the same category. From the property owner's perspective, it's probably because one of those lots in those 4 parcels that they own, it has appropriate lot area, which is probably what brought that to their attention. But regarding all of the other properties on that street in particular, I don't have that information, or personally know of anything that largely differentiates these 3 lots from those. I do know the only thing that we did hear from the community on the matter, there was a gentleman that was here. He actually was out in the hallway across the hallway from me, and he and I sat there for probably a half an hour before we realized we were here regarding the same case. And he wasn't here in opposition, but rather just had questions on the matter. A gentleman that lives at 1814 Cephas Street has been here since the 60s, and after he and I had a conversation, when he left, he said that he didn't have any opposition to what we were wanting to do here.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant at this point?
What conversations have you had with the council member? It sounds like I'm giving an awful lot of deference to council members today, but I mean, have you had any direct contact with Councilman Taylor?
Councilman Taylor and I did speak about this one, and this particular variance he was not in support of.
Did he state any particular reasons to you that you could have alleviated in those discussions.
No, sir.
Any questions? All right, did you continue, or if you had anything else to add?
I don't have anything to add to it.
Okay. Then we'll close public hearing. And thoughts, I mean, I think I've already expressed mine. I mean, I think, Ross sometimes, it looks at surveys and that kind of thing, which I totally respect. But also, to me, it needs that, I like to see that extra layer of, do you get something your neighbors don't? Or do they get something that you don't because your lot's a little smaller? And if they get something that you don't because your lot's smaller, to me, that's the tipping point. But I just don't see that here. And the council member said that the neighbors have concerns and he doesn't support it. So to me, those two strikes are enough. But
Well, I looked at the councilman's letter, and I think for it to be compelling to me, it needs to have more in it than that. Just I've had concerns from the neighbors. That's all he says. There's no, and I think the councilman did the same thing with the applicant. I think if you got a problem with something, you need to be specific. So that I'm really giving that no weight, with no offense to the council person. In terms of, this applicant getting something that others don't, I don't see that as a problem here. I mean, I think if there are other, to me, that the 5%, given that a lot of Nashville plats were laid out before surveying instruments were as accurate as they are today, that, and having been involved in situations where, there have been differences between surveyors, to me, the 5% that's just so close to not let somebody do what they would otherwise be able to do with their property because it's 5% off, knowing that, I do think that there's always a possibility that there's different surveyors could come up with different square footage. So I think that it's, for me in this city right now where we need, I think, more density and more housing and more affordable housing, that there's also I know it doesn't have anything to do with the hardship, but it certainly doesn't hurt, I think, the applicant's case that they're, I think there are good reasons to have this kind of housing. So, I'm okay with it. I think it's within 5%. I think 4.27, less than 5%. And I think, if anybody else in the area came forward and was within 4.2%, I don't think they would be treated any differently. And I understand your point, Chairman Taylor, and I think that is valid in a lot of circumstances. I'm just not sure that it is here. So for that reason, I would support it. I would support the applicant. So,
any other thoughts or questions?
I'll have to say I agree with Chairman Taylor's statements. So I'm bouncing back and forth today between you all.
And I was listening to Mr. Pepper thinking, well, that makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, it is, I get a tough one.
And this is one of those times, normally I'm strict on these things, but 4.2, and if someone else came in the neighborhood and wanted it, I'm sort of did a good job of convincing.
well,
I was impressed. Thank you. And I sort of, if you made yours a motion, I would second it. I have a feeling it's going to not go real terribly far, but.
Well, and I guess my only thought, and again, it is that because it applies to, and again, when I looked at the overview, and we don't have that, and it looked like everything was fairly uniform, and I just didn't see a lot of lots close by that were obviously, like even across the street, 115 by 50, which is where he is, 115 by 50. The next block was 50, and I think it was also, well, there's at the bottom of the page, lot 49 is 115. So all the ones on either, basically, the ones behind it and the one across the street are all that appear to be pretty close to the same size. One of his lots is 6,030 feet or something like that, is 52 and a half by 115, which doesn't give him enough extra square footage to, average the others to be. And so to me, that's where the council member comes in a little stronger to play, to say, if the council member and the constituents all said, hey, this is a neighborhood that really needs to evolve toward multifamily, I might be swayed a little more persuasively to that small difference, which may I get it, and I think it's compelling, but I also know that this kind of decision sets, I know all of our decisions are independent, but as soon as we make this one and the neighbor across the street wants it for the exact same argument, it's a little tough to say, well, no, you don't have a hardship when this person did. I think it does to some extent say, yeah, the dominoes are going to fall in this neighborhood in a way that, to me, needs more input than just us saying it's close on a survey. But that's just my take on it, and I totally understand and respect another point of view on it, too. I think maybe both close to the fence, and each two of us are slightly over on one side and two of us are slightly back on the other. I don't think it's that far off in point of view, but it's different in terms of outcome. But so did someone want to try for a motion and just at least see where the cards fall?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we approve the application.
All right, have a motion
Second.
to approve the variance and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of the variance, say aye, raise your hand. Those opposed, aye, and raise your hand. All right, so that's 2-2. So that motion's held up 2-2. That means that we have two members that are out for the meeting today. They'll have a chance to review the tape. And at the next meeting, if they have had the chance and are present to review the tape, and assuming that the four of us are here, then we can have another motion. And if they agree with the motion, then it'll have 4 votes to pass. If they don't agree with the motion, then it won't pass. But at least there'll be another opportunity for those people that aren't here now to hear your case and make a determination.
Okay.
Awesome.
Appreciate
So
your
thank
time.
you. Sure.
Thank you.
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Refreshing to have discussions about things where you disagree and everybody is not.
Exactly. Well, exactly. Exactly. Well, and appreciate what people are trying to do also, too, even in the spirit. All right, so with that, I think we're done, and wish everybody at home and here a great week.
Get home.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.